Are the window ledges clean? Are the blinds clean? Are the blinds operating properly? Yes.
What if you've dedicated your entire life to work?
Hotels have been my life. I met your dad in the function room. I never made it to my sister Elsie's funeral because I was working, and I even raised you and your brother 6 floors up from my job.
And suddenly, it's all taken away.
I just got fired. Just want you to know that. Call me. Bye. End of message.
You live by making a bucket list of all the things you couldn't do while you were working.
See the heart?
Oh, yeah.
Just press the heart. There it goes.
Our new life motto is, Rebecca, it's all about you now. It's always been about everybody else, but now it's survival.
But surviving without work?
I got nothing because I supported 2 kids on my own, 3 of us on 1 paycheck. It wasn't easy.
Next 6 months is currently uncertain. Will I be living here? Will I be working somewhere? Will I be back in England? I don't know. It's uncertainty. You have things happen to you in your life, you rise up, you get over them, and you pick yourself up and you start all over again. That's what makes you strong. The reason I'm doing this is because I have to do it. Ain't no reason on this earth anybody's gonna hire somebody that's 75 years of age.
You never know.
I was reading. Let me reboot myself here. Hold on one second.
Oh, good. And then just a reminder to pay attention to the chat function. For
Yes, where you'll cut me off mid-sentence.
Exactly.
Or
Hi, Adam.
hi guys, how are you, Sian-Pierre and Rebecca?
We are good. Thank you. Excited to be here. This is a crazy day, but
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I was watching this documentary, your documentary, Duty Free, with my lady friend.
nice.
In her home, and we didn't know. It was one of these rare cases where I really just didn't do a lot of. I knew that it was a doc NYC, so it had a lot of pedigree. Let's set the record straight.
We'll take that.
But I didn't really do a lot of research into it, which is a really nice way to, I think, experience the documentary. Anyway, and we were both just really profoundly moved by it. So I didn't tell her about us talking today. It's going to be a surprise. She'll be thrilled.
Amazing. Well, thank you for the compliment. I mean, it's taken 5 years to get to this place. So to hear something like that from you is it's a huge compliment. So thank you.
Oh, sure. Well, it shows. Did you? All right. Well, let's set it up a little bit, and then where you're in New York City, Sian-Pierre. Mom is Rebecca. You are in Boston. You're Sian-Pierre, you're focusing at the time on your burgeoning journalism and documentary career or filmmaking career, and Rebecca has been working for many years. Her career has been in how do you say, hospitality, hotel industry, correct? And she is just sort of fired, right? At kind of out of nowhere, right? And all of a sudden everybody's trajectory, both of your trajectory in a way, is thrown off, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy experience. I mean, so my mom was working for 40 years as a hotel housekeeper in management, and she raised us 6 floors above the hotel from which she was fired. And so when they fired her, I was in New York City, a TV journalist, and had to stop everything that I was doing to make sure that I could follow, well, not only help my mom, but then decided to follow this story as maybe the greatest story that I would ever have been able to tell. And my mom just came on a journey with me.
Well, that's kind of in a sense, that's where things just sort of go from being just your average documentary or story to being something much bigger. This whole, you unleashed, something was untethered or, allowed to really blossom. And it was hard, right, Rebecca, for you, because you were very, very in a lot of despair. You really were in a terrifying position where you didn't know, you weren't ready to retire for many reasons, not just financial, but.
I had lived in the building for 37 years, but actually put this particular hotel together room by room for them while working at the hotels. And I never expected that this would happen to me. I was, as they say in England, gobsmacked.
Yeah.
And I just got called to the office to say, Rebecca, we value you as an employee, but today is your last day. Just gone. And I was in despair, and you work in hospitality and you're working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, holidays, weekends. You develop another family, that's your hotel family. I didn't just lose a job. I lost my hotel family. They were my family when he's either in Paris or somewhere and around. And Gabrielle, he has a mentally disabled brother, is another spectrum. It was very difficult. I was in despair. I didn't know what I would do.
So how quick
all changed?
Say that again. What?
I said, but then that all changed.
And then that all changed. Well, fortunately, Rebecca has a son who's a storyteller and kind of knew all the tricks. I don't want to call them tricks, but knew the different ways to kind of tell a story about what you're going through. So to help connect your story to the world, which is really, I think, a great thing, because I mean, not only is this story about ageism and how we don't take care of our citizens, we don't take care of our own citizens, but it's also a very personal story too, which a lot of people can relate to right now in this particular moment in time, or just in the, in this era too, but particularly right now when so many people are living on the precipice of, don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So this story really hit home. And Sian-Pierre, how quickly did you kind of get it together thinking, I'm going to connect my mom's story to tell the outside world, the world about it, and like kind of figure out, sorry about that, and figure out how to do it, like what the plan was, what the structure was going to be. And you did a Kickstarter, and which was very successful too. And it's just a tremendous amount of planning and work went into this, making this film.
Totally. I guess I've had a realization that, my mom always said, what did you used to say? Like, there's nothing worse than a woman scorned, basically. There's
hell hath no fury.
No fury like a woman scorned. And I had a realization that like hell hath no fury like a son,
okay, so you were right. Nobody's gonna gobsmack.
Exactly. So I was
slap my mother.
Right.
It was very, very, it was handled particularly unrespectfully.
Yeah, when that happened, my mom was left with 2 weeks' pay. I thought, this is not going to happen to my mom, right? And so what I did was immediately I knew that I needed to figure out a way to help support her. So it's at that time that I really started shooting in earnest, making sure that I could record her story just so that I had it. And then thought, well, I also need to take her away from this misery, right? Like having a job that you work for so long, and sacrificed so much for 2 kids, and being left with nothing. Like my mom really was on the ground, like, as you say, a lot of Americans today who don't have anything. And so I thought, you know what? Let me take her on a bucket list adventure to do all the things she could never do while she was working. Pitched it to her. And she's like, well, I want a job. I'm not sure I want to go on a bucket list adventure. And like, how are we going to afford this? And I said, don't worry, like, leave it up to me.
Right.
And, I basically called, emailed, texted every single person I knew, started this Kickstarter, raised $60,000. And, the story went viral. It was seen 38 million times on Facebook. And it was off from there. I think a lot of people really identified with my mom's story of, being let go late in life. But also the fact that, even in our darkest moments, there is somebody out there who is willing to bring you to the light. And I think like it was that humanity aspect, but also I guess the flip, the two sides of humanity, right? The bad side of humanity, which is how she was fired, and the good side of humanity of, somebody lifting you up that people really identified with. And that really made this film, I think, sort of bring you through high moments and low moments, to take you on a journey.
Right. You mentioned Kate got this idea to tell your mom, in order to reboot her brain in a way, and her emotional life, to like, here's a pen and paper, write down your bucket list. We're going to try to cross each one off. And we're going to show you have other reasons to live. But because you, Rebecca, right? Even if they had given you lots of notice, told you could stay in the apartment, I think you still would have been gobsmacked, to use your term, because this was so much of who what you tied up with in your identity as this, this world that you had been inhabiting for something like 40 years. So you needed to realize there was a life outside of that, even without the financial burden.
That is true. That is true. There is life beyond the hotel curtain. I never realized it. And this story is not about me and him. I don't want anybody else to be gobsmacked. All the little people, or not, there's no little people, but the people who worked with me and for me, they're immigrants, they don't speak English. What happens to them in this pandemic? Well, we're sorry, Miss X, but today's your last day. I want that handbook to tell them exactly what will happen on the last day of work. That's my mission. I don't want anybody else to be in that situation that I was in. I'm lucky. I had him. I'm educated. I speak English. What about the people that, and then I'm not good on internet. If I hadn't learned with him, try getting a job on internet. When you scroll down, it says last day graduated high school, and you scroll down and it stops at 1979. It stops right then. And then you pass by it because you can't get to.
Wow, I just made it in by barely. No, but I understand. But now you're on Zoom. You've done a Kickstarter. Rebecca,
she's got 50,000 Instagram followers. She's good. My mom.
50,001. I followed her as of this morning. So.
Excellent.
And also, were you guys thinking, well, maybe we should get a little bit more, didactic, or we should get a little bit more political with the documentary? Because, of course, that's there. You can't deny it. It's the elephant in the room, is like, just as I said before, how we, I think, just abandon our seniors in particular, in so many cases. But you have companies and corporations, and I worked for a bunch myself, who they set up all sorts of diversity committees, and also what's the term,
inclusion,
sensitivity training, things of that nature, and how but once they let you go, there's no process for that. You're just told, you're brought into a room, and just told it's over. There's no conversation here, which I understand, but it's like, what happened to those 40 years of loyalty? Hello.
My mom always says there's no sentiment in business,
Right.
but there doesn't need to be cruelty in business. And I think a lot.
That's exactly right.
It's important that, for me in this film, there were edits where we went down that sort of more political route and sort of, sticking it to the man. But at the end of the day, I think the story is one about love and joy and family. And it was really important to me to focus on that, though, as you see in Duty Free, that there are moments of sort of just laying it flat. I think objectively what was done was wrong. And objectively, most Americans would say that the employer-employee relationship is off kilter, and that something needs to change. And I think that comes out.
Right. I appreciate. I think if anything, it's that part of the story is very bluntly told, even though you don't stand on a platform to do it. In other words, there's a lot of people are going to really feel that they're not alone, I think, when they watch. Yeah. And also the story. So on the bucket list, we won't go into too much detail. It's sort of the fun. It's like the sort of the exciting part of the film. It's this, to not only because you're having adventures, both, the traditional kind, but also personal ones like reconnecting with family, etc. But you're, what was I going to say?
We're milking cows. We're like jumping.
Oh, right, yeah, the milking cows. I appreciate that because I milked a cow. Yeah, that's who would know that would have landed on somebody's bucket list, but nevertheless, the milk ended up in the bucket and in the bucket list. So.
Tell them why'd you choose those bucket list items, Mom?
I chose those bucket list items because I could, really back to childhood. The milking the cow, why people come in and I say, what are you going to do, Mrs. Jones? You're back in the show. Oh, we're going to pick up the kids from camp. Then we're going to go milk a cow. Then we're going to go home. Stuck in my mind. Then the marathoners. Every year you see the marathoners come to Boston. We live half a mile from the finish line. So, what the hell they keep coming and doing it to themselves each year? I've got to walk that and do that route to see why they keep coming back for this punishment. So we did the marathon. Yeah, I did the marathon, walked it. Okay. And then other things, he took me on a mystery trip, blindfolded me, didn't know where I was going, what to pack, got to an airport, pulled the blindfold off, and there was California. So off went to Napa Valley where I picked grapes, took a Pilates lesson, made a pottery thing, all those. Went to England. Most important, my sister's funeral, my sister's gravesite. I'd never been able to go. My mother. Reconnect with my daughter. Now that's all been mended. We're talking every day. That was a very painful experience for her to be sent to England, more painful than I ever realized. And again, I can't change history, but now we're shaping the future.
Well, that's all you can do is which is kind of another main message, I guess, of the film is, there's some things that are just out of your control, but you can make decisions to do your best with things you can control in your life.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And now the impact thing that we're doing with the older people.
Oh, yeah, you should talk about that. That's a good idea because, again, the name of the documentary is called Duty Free. It's in select theaters, both virtual and in person, as of May 7th, which is this Friday.
Yes, we're really excited. If you go to dutyfreefilm.com, underneath Watch the Film, you can see all the places that the film is playing across the country, both streaming at your own home or in the theaters. But right after the film is out, we're going on an impact campaign to talk about 3 issues, which are economic insecurity, ageism, and the need for care, and particularly intergenerational care. It's very seldom that you hear of these sort of intergenerational adventures or friendships or relationships, even though we all have one. We don't talk about them. And so sort of lifting up the power in that, after COVID, obviously we saw that older people, there is there is a crisis among elders, social isolation, et cetera, et cetera. And so we hope that this film encourages people to, you know, either find an older person or a younger person who can be their friend, and hey, maybe create a bucket list if you want to do that too. Yeah, so we're excited about that impact campaign.
Well, I think that as long as you're willing to facilitate the Kickstarter campaign for those folks who want to do the bucket list, because you seems to be a talent.
Okay, well, that might be my next documentary.
It took him 2 weeks to find something where we could milk a cow.
I know. Well, you know, people will have to watch the film to see why it was such a challenging thing to do. You'd think some of these things would have been pretty straightforward, but you never know.
Yeah,
Totally.
And then we get to the farm and it's automatic. There's the machines.
The robots are milking the cows now.
Milking the cows.
Yes.
Well, you know, it was delightful to meet you both, and I'm just keeping an eye on the time, because how many are you guys? Really got a lot of
oh my God, all day.
That's amazing. That's great to hear.
Really, really, really exciting. We hope, I mean, we're trying to get as many parents and kids to the theaters as possible, or at least to watch this together virtually. So we're doing all the press that we can, and we've come a long way. I mean, it'd be an independent film, and to have been a top grosser at DocMRC, and you know, to have sold out IFC here in the city last Friday, like, you know, we're hustling hard for this story because it's an important one to tell. So
he's hustling. I'm just being his mum, doing all the work.
That's true.
Yeah, still press enter on the computer, but
well,
he's just busy being the star, which we all, you know, that has value too.
Well, it's a great story to see that even, you know, at 75, it's not saying it didn't require a lot of emotional lifting, a lot of heavy lifting, but you, even at 75, you can reinvent yourself. It's a huge message, because, you know,
families everywhere.
You know, and I appreciate it, and I'm so glad to have had the opportunity to see the film. I'm going to urge everyone to go check it out, and for sure, and meet these guys in an all new dimension. Mention the website again?
Yes, so dutyfreefilm.com. It has all the information not only about the film and what we're doing, but also where you can watch the film at select theaters across the country in the theater, but also all the places that you can watch it right from your own home, starting on May 7th.
Right, May 7th. And it's great because you're not only supporting the documentary, your film, but you're also supporting art house theaters by streaming it off their sites. So you're doing a lot of good by seeing Duty Free. Anyway,
thank you.
It was a delight. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. You have a great day.
So great to meet you.
Same here, I'm sure.
Tell your lady friend that we appreciate her watching as well.
Thank you. Yes.
I will. She was calling unbeknownst.
She had a feeling. She knew. She was like, what's going on?
Exactly.
Honesty is the best policy.
All right. Well, it was great meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
You too.
Talk to you later.
Take care.